Hi guys, nice to have you here. So today's video is gonna be a bit more chill, kind of an intermezzo while we're waiting for the next big video essay to come up. And I actually wanted to take the chance to reply to some of the comments I gotten in the comment section of the past 2-3 videos, which kind of lean toward the same topic. I love Hollow Knight, I love Silksong, I happen to love music. And your videos make me feel like I actually want to learn music theory now, even though it was so incredibly boring when I was in school. Should I do it? Is it worth it? And how do I even get started? Which is a super interesting question and extremely difficult to answer. The thing is, for most of us, the mere idea of sitting down, cracking open a massive music theory book sounds exhausting. Because then what happens? You have to stop, you have to track down the music, you have to listen to it, and half of the time it's a genre of music you don't even care about, you know? I noticed that even the music theory books claiming to be meant for the younger generations, quote unquote, are still completely out of touch. Trying to teach teenagers today about music theory by saying, hey, look at this new cool example from the Beatles. It's like talking to them about, I don't know, prehistory, you know? So how do you actually get into music theory without losing your mind? Talking about classical music, wait until you see how much pretentiousness there is around this topic. I'm speaking as a trained pianist and a composer myself. The classical music world is packed with elitism. People will tell you just need to listen to classical music as if it was like this one magical thing, as a whole. That makes zero sense to me. There's plenty of classical music that is 110% worth your time, and there's a lot of classical music that you can completely scrape and forget about. It's all about expanding your musical taste. And when I was 12 years old, I mentioned that in my Path of Pain video from Hollow Knight, classical music was the last thing I was thinking about. But then I got captured by it because I found connections to it through other media. And for people in my generation, I'm in my 30s now, the ultimate gateway to classical music was movie soundtracks. And if we're talking about soundtracks and movies, specifically anything by John Williams. As an educator, I realized how John Williams is a great entry point for classical music. Cinema today relies a little bit too much on pure sound design, which is great, but older movies are packed with classical music references. And for me, a huge influence when I was a kid was Stanley Kubrick. I know it sounds a bit weird to talk about watching Stanley Kubrick as a kid, but hey, it worked out somehow. So if you take, for example, 2001 Space Odyssey, right? It's one of those movies that completely stands the test of time. It feels like it could have been made yesterday. The music choices in that film are just, I don't know, legendary, I should say. You have this famous classical Blue Danube, like Strauss, right? But then you have also the beautiful Gayane Ballet suite by Khachaturian. That scene alone made me really fall in love with classical music and discover Khachaturian as a teenager, which then eventually led me down this kind of rabbit hole of discovering other works of him. And 2001, again, is one of those gateways, not only for, so to say, classical music, but also what we call contemporary classical music, which is a just very funny word to describe stuff that happened like 150 years ago. But in the classical world, that's considered modern, basically. Kubrick features music by one of my personal teenage heroes, György Ligeti. I literally had a poster of this guy on my wall as a teen, which tells you everything you need to know about my childhood. But in the movie, you can hear parts of Ligeti's Requiem, which is a heavy, super avant-garde funeral mass. I'm not gonna tell you to go and listen to the full Requiem because that's too much to ask even for a professional musician. But if you watch the movie, you will realize it's just incredible piece. There's a before and an after the monolith scene, and it will totally blow your mind. And I was thinking about Ligeti, right? Do you like Leonardo DiCaprio, right? You go watch Shutter Island by Scorsese, and the soundtrack, again, masterclass. Ligeti is there. There's a piece called Lontano, which means far away. Don't go listen it on Spotify because, first of all, you shouldn't have Spotify in the first place, but it won't click because we are so desensitized by modern digital sound design. But you have to realize the piece was written, I think in 1960, if I'm not wrong. there was nothing back then. It's a real orchestra making these things. Go watch the movie. Shutter Island is great. Also, it has like this gorgeous piano quartet written by Gustav Mahler when he was like 16 or something like that, which is this kind of heartbreaking piece of music. It's really beautiful. It's an amazing piece of music. And it's funny because as Mahler grew up and evolved as an artist, his music became the very definition of kitsch, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. He's renowned for introducing this kind of pastiche, you know, kitsch into symphonies. And I know like Mahler's music isn't really for everyone, especially the mature music like the symphonies and stuff. And like I said, personally I'm not a huge fan, but it's absolutely worth listening to at least once you have your foundational ground in order. So don't start with Mahler ever, but keep him in mind like for later. And this kind of brings us back to the secret, quote unquote, of learning music theory, which is you cannot learn it in a vacuum. If you try to study it just for the sake of it, it's gonna feel incredibly dry and pointless, because music theory is never about the math of it. It's about use, is a toolkit. Once you find a piece of music that makes you feel things, whether it's Christopher Larkin's Path of Pain, Sealed Vessel, or a Beethoven symphony, whatever, then learning the theory becomes just a trivia game, and it's not a boring homework anymore. So to wrap this all up, should you learn music theory? Absolutely, but don't start with a textbook. Only works like for 1% of the population. Start with the music you already love. Use video games, use movies, use these soundtracks that give you goosebumps as your gateway, and then go and play trivia with it. Look up their influences, track down the roots and all of that, and let your own curiosity dictate what you learn. I promise it's gonna have a massive effect on your life. So thank you guys for watching this video, hanging out with me today. I really want to thank you all for the incredible support, all the likes and the stuff happening, especially in the last video. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Ask any question you have, or do whatever it takes to satisfy the algorithm so we can keep making this. With that being said, have a nice day. Catch up later.